Dear Mr. A&R, we all struggling artists. Realize the world is cold, but we came here to spark it. Swimming little guppies in a sea full of sharks. It's gonna take a miracle to not end up hard.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Inside the Six with Ian and Thomas.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
This episode is really all about transfers. There's no games, no major games going on. It's all preseason stuff right now. Although Ian and I were lucky enough to attend the Liverpool versus Borussia Dortmund game in Charlotte, North Carolina, last weekend. We're gonna have some videos. We're gonna have some pictures covering that. We're definitely gonna talk about that. But that's part of the International Champions Cup, which is it's a lot of European top teams come to America, and they play there. Just kind of a preseason tournament. And they've been doing that for a few years now. I'm not sure exactly how long.
Yeah, it's been probably 3 or 4 years, and it's really cool. So listen, I mean, keep an eye on stuff. It's almost over, so keep an eye out for it now if you have the resources. But next year, about the same time, definitely keep an eye out for it. And if you can make it to one of the matches, go ahead and go. The atmosphere is pretty awesome. It's not as intense as I think it would be in Europe. Watching Liverpool, play at Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte is not the same as watching them play at Anfield. But it's still pretty cool to see, a lot of your favorite players on the pitch live. So check it out. Keep an eye out for that for next year. It's really fun. We've done it a couple times now, and we're going to keep doing it. So keep an eye out for that.
Unfortunately, though, this game was kind of disappointing, especially from Liverpool. Everybody was there expecting to see, the Egyptian king himself, Mo Salah, on the field. And he was there, we saw him. He was on the bench, but he never came out on the pitch.
Yeah.
And neither did Sadio Mane, who was also on the bench. The game ended up being 3-1 to Borussia Dortmund, with 2 very late goals. It was 1-1 for a majority of the match. And it just kind of fell apart. From more mistakes from Loris Karius.
Yeah.
Which is kind of I guess scary to think about, because he had a really good season last year. And he's just kind of gone. He's making all of these mistakes now.
Well, I wonder how much, with the Champions Cup, and then I know they said that, he had a concussion and he made some pretty serious mistakes in that match. And it well may have cost them, Champions Cup victory. And I wonder how much that still kind of rings in his head. How much has it tainted his confidence? Because he did have a good season right up until then. It was just it was really a one bad 90 minutes of football, and I think it did that have something to do with what's going on now. Because apparently, he's made other mistakes in other matches during the preseason, and how much is he shaken by the fact that Alisson showed up, and I think, given the fact that Liverpool paid as much as they did for Alisson to be there, I got to think that Loris Karius is no longer going to be the go-to guy. I think he's going to be the backup again. With the amount of money that they put out for, a goalkeeper. It was world record signing for a goalkeeper, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. Which is, he beat out Gigi Buffon from when he transferred to Juve years ago. So that record stood for a long time.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and you don't spend that kind of money and put a guy on the bench. So I got to think that Alisson's going to be the starting keeper for Liverpool coming up, and that may be a part of what's going on with Loris Karius. He's not a bad goalkeeper. I think he needs a little bit more polishing. And in my opinion, and I think a lot of opinions of Liverpool supporters, is better than Simon Mignolet.
Oh yes.
But yeah, I mean that was one of the things it was just so frustrating to me to watch Mignolet start match after match after match, and I'm going, what are we doing? You know, let's see if we can't find somebody better. I think there's a one-legged kid in the parking lot, who could do better some days. But it remains to be seen. I don't have a lot against Loris Karius. I think he's a pretty good goalkeeper. And I hate that it kind of comes down to everybody blaming him. I mean, that match, it was a good match. Liverpool played a lot of their U19s, a lot of their U21s. Because
which is what preseason's about.
Sure.
Yeah, it's
sure. It was disappointing
about
for
getting
me
those guys.
because, like you said, I wanted to see Mohamed Salah. I wanted to see Sadio Mane. Xherdan Shaqiri didn't meet the team until they left North Carolina, and he met the team in New Jersey. And then a couple days later, they play a game in New Jersey against Manchester City, and who's on the scoreboard? Mohamed Salah and Sadio Mane. So a little disappointing, but still, it was a good match. I think they played well, considering that it's preseason and they got a lot of kids who were, aren't even expected to be in the first team. And I think they did well. And Naby Keita,
Yes.
had a fantastic match.
I know you are very excited for him this season.
I am, and especially after what I saw just in preseason. I mean, this cat was breaking ankles, man. He has got some serious skill and a lot of confidence. So I'm excited to see what happens with him now in the squad. And Xherdan Shaqiri, who's a really good player. I think if we can kind of keep his temper under control, he's going to do well for the squad. So.
Moving over to the other side of that game, the goal scorers were Christian Pulisic first off, and then it was, I can't remember who the other one was. It was someone, Jacob Brun Larson.
Yes. Yeah, I couldn't remember either because honestly, I'd never heard his name before. But yeah, it was definitely a Christian Pulisic day at Bank of America Stadium. The first one was a PK. I thought was a really soft
Which
call.
I don't think should. Yeah, it was soft.
No, it was definitely a soft call. But I mean, he took the shot well, and it was a good goal. And his second goal was actually well played. It was typical Christian Pulisic. Let's see how far I can go. Oh crap, there's the net. Let's put it in there.
Yep.
It was well done.
Getting on the score sheet for Liverpool was Virgil van Dijk, and it was a beautiful goal in the first half.
It was great.
It was very early in the game. But I got a little bit more news about Christian Pulisic. He's currently at Borussia Dortmund, of course, but apparently his contract talks have stalled. With Borussia Dortmund. And apparently there are sharks.
Oh sure.
From Liverpool and Chelsea. Swimming very close to his island right now.
To his island.
Apparently both teams are very interested in his signature.
I would be too.
I think it's going to be very interesting if he does move. I think it'll be a nice next step in his career, moving to a bigger stage in the world. Because I think the Premier League is a bigger stage compared to the Bundesliga.
I would agree
that's
with
not
that.
That's not sliding the Bundesliga in any way, shape, or form, but it's seen on a larger scale because it is England. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there. This is very, very new news. There's nothing else above it other than contract talks have stopped between him and Dortmund. Yeah. So we'll have to wait and see with that.
I'm actually looking at that article right now, and it's I mean the headline is that they're this is on FOTMob, so shout out to FOTMob because they have a really great app. If you want to keep up with what's going on in the football world, no matter what league. I mean, they have stuff, from even non-league stuff. Check out FotMob. You could get it on your phone. I'm pretty sure it's on Apple. I'm an Android guy, so it's in the Play Store. So check it out. But this says, I mean, the headline is Liverpool and Chelsea on high alert as Bundesliga side prepare to sell Starlet as contracts talks stall. And this is as of 3 hours ago. This is at 5:30 a.m. 3 hours as of this recording. So if oh my, and it looks like he's going rather cheaply. I mean, they're looking at 70 million euros. I mean, granted, he's 19 years old, but 70 million seems pretty cheap for a kid who scores goals, man. I mean, and he's 19. He's got his entire career ahead of him. He's going to be wearing the captain's armband for the U.S. team.
Yeah, he's basically been handed the captain's armband for the new U.S. men's national team. For those of you who don't know, the U.S. men's national team has been completely overhauled.
Which is a good
thing. I believe
thing.
we talked about it. Yeah, I believe we talked about it last episode. But, I mean, the only faces that I recognize are Christian Pulisic and DeAndre Yedlin.
Yeah, Yedlin.
Couldn't remember his name.
Yep.
And those are two players that I'm very excited to see because they're young players. They have a lot of talent. As they mature, they're going to get even better. And then you've got, 18, 19-year-old kids on the pitch, which is exactly what you want to see after the failure of the recent U.S. men's national team. It wasn't good. So, luckily, the U.S. Soccer Federation was like, look, you're all gone. Go away. We're bringing in these new kids, and we're going to try them out for a bit.
And it needed to be done. I mean, all the way through World Cup qualifications. I mean, as a member of American Outlaws and things like that, we're all like, what is going on? Okay, we bring in Bruce Arena, who lost the job years ago because he wasn't bringing us wins. Let's bring him back and see if he can't bring us wins this time. Mm-hmm. And it didn't happen. And it just it was the same names over and over and over. And I think it was either Mark Twain or Albert Einstein said, the definition of insanity is attempting the exact same thing over and over while expecting a different result. And that was what was going on, I mean, okay, so you got Josie Altidore and you got Clint Dempsey and Michael Bradley, and you just kept bringing in the same names over and over and over and wondering why we weren't winning. It's because there's so much fresh new talent out there who's willing to work for it. And I just don't think those other guys, those senior guys, were willing to work for it. I think they felt like they deserved a spot on the squad, and they weren't working for it. So yeah, the overhaul was much needed, and I was very thankful for it. Unfortunately, it didn't happen in time for the World Cup. But I have high hopes for the next World Cup because they brought in this 18, 19-year-olds who have now 4 years to really hone their skill and mature and get the experience over the next couple of years. So I think they could be a pretty powerful force going into the next World Cup. The round of qualifiers actually starts pretty soon. And I'm very excited to see what happens with these kids now. So yeah, it was very frustrating for a couple of years. After the 2014 World Cup, where the U.S. made a phenomenal showing, considering they started off in the group of death, and
made it out.
And made it out, made it into the knockout stage. And again, it played really well. It was very exciting. And it was a very exciting time for U.S. soccer because I thought, finally, okay, we're finally going to make this breakthrough and we're going to be able to start really building this sport in this country. And then over the last couple of years, that fire really went out because the U.S. team was just not winning matches. And people were like, well, okay. I'll go back to the NFL or the NHL or whatever, and not slighting either one of those sports. I'm not fans of either one. Hockey, I'll watch a hockey match, or game, whatever they call it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a really big opportunity to help grow soccer in the United States really passed us by, and that's
Mm-hmm.
sad. But like I said, I'm really excited for the next World Cup and the next round of qualifiers because I think we're going to do well. Um, there's a lot of talent, and they're hungry. You know, they really want to show themselves. This is going to be a really good showcase for a lot of these guys, and I'm excited to see what happens.
Yeah. Kind of moving back to transfers.
Sorry.
I have news that Everton has strengthened their defense in picking up two Barcelona defenders, Lucas Digne and Yerry Mina. I mean, those are two players that are very strong. Obviously, they signed for Barcelona for a reason. Barca doesn't sign very many flops. The problem with these two is when you've got defenders like Gerard Piqué and the defense that Barcelona has, it's hard to break through that lineup. And they came into the club expecting first team time, and it just didn't happen. So they're looking to move away from the club. Yerry Mina after one season. But I think moving to Everton is going to be a very good boost for Everton and a very good boost for these two players' careers moving forward to help them get into their first team so that they can further their career and become better at the sport. Speaking of Everton,
Yeah, but
I heard rumors that Chelsea are interested in England World Cup star Jordan Pickford.
yes, I did hear that as well.
They are looking to replace Thibaut Courtois, as rumors are still swirling around about him moving to Real Madrid. What's going to happen there, we don't know. Apparently, there's been an agreement made, but I haven't seen anything official on it.
I haven't either. I haven't even seen anything official on Thibaut Courtois. It's still a lot of rumor, but nobody's saying, "Oh, it's not true." So yeah, there's no official news on either side. I think it's pretty exciting. Thibaut Courtois showed his definite worth during the World Cup. And just the fact that you got clubs like the Spanish sides looking to sign him is deserved. I think we talk about the Premier League and being a really big stage, but when you got teams like Barcelona looking at you, that's a huge stage. Everybody has heard of Barcelona, everybody has heard of Real Madrid. And him with the opportunity to go to that team is fantastic. Pickford is a really, really good goalkeeper. And he's still pretty young. He's still very young. And he's got a lot ahead of him. So yeah, he didn't have the greatest season at Everton, but Everton didn't have the greatest season, period. So I don't think it was just him. I think it was the squad in general. There was a lot of upheaval there. With new managers,
especially with Ronald Koeman leaving mid season.
That definitely it puts a dressing room in turmoil a little bit. Because now the tactics change and formations change and starters change, and there's just a lot of doubt and the unknown with who's playing where and when. And so, like I said, it wasn't just Pickford had a not the best. He didn't have a bad season. He just none of them had a good season. So,
but I think he proved his worth in the World Cup this
for
year.
sure.
Coming out, I mean, he came up huge for England. In a lot of knockout games. Especially in the penalties against Colombia.
Yeah,
those were very, very talented of him. And then another potential Real Madrid move is apparently breaking down very rapidly. The Eden Hazard transfer.
Yeah.
Apparently, the talks between Real Madrid and Chelsea have not gone well, as Chelsea believe that he's worth more than Real Madrid are willing to pay. and therefore apparently Real Madrid is going to forego the Eden Hazard transfer and build their club around Isco, which would be smart. Isco is a fantastic
Yes.
player, as he's proved his worth for Real Madrid over the last couple seasons. Whether or not they can build a team around him like they did with Ronaldo, because it was very apparent that Los Blancos was built around Cristiano Ronaldo. And with him gone, they kind of need a new, they need a new building block. And I'm not sure if Isco is going to be as strong as Ronaldo was, but I definitely think he's a strong pick for the replacement. So we'll have to see what happens there. Again, this is all rumor. We don't have anything certain. Unfortunately, teams like to be discreet about this kind of stuff. We do what we can to kind of dig up as much as we can. But at this point, it's all rumor. I mean that's really all that's been going on. It's just it's a lot of it's a lot of rumor.
It's a lot of speculation and rumor and tabloid stuff. Just somebody overhears a conversation or eavesdropping, whatever. And of course it ends up in a lot of these sports tabloids. And not saying that they're not reliable news sources, but it's a lot of reporters or journalists or whatever. They hear something, they're like, oh, I got to crack this story first. And they write it out. So it's a lot of rumor, and like Thomas said, the teams are very discreet. They keep a lot of this secret so they can make big announcements and just it kind of add to the drama and the feel of the whole thing. On one side it's frustrating. It's like, oh, come on, man, let us know. I mean, the transfer window still got 13 days before it closes, something like that. As of this recording. So I mean, a lot can still happen. So yeah, you hear these rumors, and if you guys when you're watching, if you dig something up and and you got something to add to what we're talking about, join the conversation. We welcome that. Please get in the conversation with us and let us know, because we're by no means experts and we are not authorities on anything. We have the same resources you guys do, the interwebs. So if you hear something, see something, share it with us. We'll be glad, and of course we'll give you a shout out. We'll give you props for it, because we want you guys to be part of this as well. We're not gonna put you on camera though, because I'm just too pretty. I
will say there is one more big news from the MLS. It's considered one of the biggest signings from the MLS in its history. Canadian youngster Alphonso Davies is 17 years old, was playing for the Vancouver Whitecaps, and he just made a transfer to Bayern Munich for, can't remember exactly how much. It was a lot. I'll say that for a 17-year-old kid. But we'll have to wait and see how he does. 17 years old is very young.
Yeah.
It's younger than I am. But I think
slightly younger than
someone
me.
who. Yeah, I think someone who has the desire to play at a high level like that at that young age can absolutely do it. I mean, look at Christian Pulisic.
Oh.
He started playing first team football for Borussia Dortmund at 18 years old.
It was 11 million pounds.
Christian Pulisic couldn't even drive himself to training. He had to get his mother to drive himself to training for Borussia Dortmund. He was so young. So it's not about age, it's about the desire to play. But I think with that's all I have.
Yeah, I found that more on that Alphonso Davies. It was $13 million, 11 million euros, It's an MLS record that will eventually rise to $19 million with personals, and I guess he's going to stay in Vancouver for the remainder of the MLS season before moving to Germany in January to join Bayern Munich. So very cool. He's a 17-year-old. They've already presented him as a player for Bayern Munich. So yeah, well, congratulations to him. It's really cool. The Bundesliga is a pretty big stage. I mean, look what it did for Christian Pulisic. He was with the team. He couldn't even drive himself to practice. He wasn't old enough to drive in Germany. He had to have his parents drive him, to his professional, world-class soccer practice pitch.
Yep.
So it's really cool. I don't have much more. So.
Well, I mean that's all we have. What I'll do is if you stick around after the outro, all the credits and stuff, there was gonna be videos that that we took at the Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte of the match. I want to check that out. It's not much. It's just a couple short little videos that we took of the game, as we were watching it. Some pictures of us while we were there. But I mean, other than that, I think it's gonna be a little bit of a shorter episode this week, as there are no major games going on.
Yeah,
but
not much shorter. I do want to give a quick shout out to the event staff and at Bank of America Stadium. There's some things that are part of our family that required a little bit of a special attention. And Bank of America Stadium was extremely accommodating to those issues, and they took very good care of us. So I want to say thank you to them. There was a nice lady at the guest services. Her name was Nancy. She's probably not watching, but Nancy, if you're watching, thank you very much. I did make sure that after the match was over, we were leaving, I stopped by to thank her for everything she did for us, to help take care of us and make everything more enjoyable and more comfortable. So I thought that was I want to say over and above, but they took very good care of us, and it was all just for the asking, really. So shout out to Bank of America Stadium and the event staff there. And if you guys get a chance, check out this International Champions Cup. Whenever these teams come around, even if it's an MLS match, listen, go watch live football, man. It is, it's the atmosphere is really something, and it's almost indescribable. So go check it out. That being said, I want to thank Thomas for everything he does to get these videos posted. He does all the editing and producing. So thanks, buddy, for doing that. And big shout out to our very good friend Macrophonic MC, who at present is at the Raleigh SuperCon. He's a comic book geek, but anyway, he's a super cool dude.
I'm actually jealous of him right now,
but he allows us to use his music for our intro and our outro. That is all professionally produced. He's got albums posted. Check him out. Check out Macrophonic MC. The links are in the bios and all that stuff. Check out the t-shirt shop and the sticker shop. T-shirt shop is Spreadshirt. Sticker shop is Redbubble. Yes. Okay. And those links are also posted below. Check those out. And if you guys have any comments, anything you want us to talk about, anything you don't want us to talk about, anything you want to correct us on, feel free to leave those comments. Be polite, courteous, professional, and we'll respond in kind. Thank you for watching. Thomas and I enjoy doing this together, and we enjoy having you along for the ride. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.
Dear Mr. A&R, we all struggling artists. Realize the world is cold, but we came here to spark it. Swimming little guppies in a sea full of sharks. It's gonna take a miracle to not end up.